Bonjour, everybody. Hi. Good morning. This is Neshi and you're watching the fan page for Star Nations organization, and we're doing a live stream. Our morning live stream, because we do it almost every morning. I say almost. I think I missed two in almost 2.5 months. It is Saturday, July 7th, and it's another beautiful day here in Toma, Wisconsin. I can't complain about the weather one little bit because we got sunshine again and it's not hot. Yay. Well, good morning, Christine and Stephanie. Good morning. Good morning, Elise and Mary Ann. So good that you guys are with me this morning. Like I said, it's another gorgeous day here. I'm hoping I'm going to get some time to go and do a little weeding in some of the gardens. They've been rather neglected, and they're starting to show it. You know when you hit that one line in the sand when it comes to gardens, and you look and you're thinking, no, it's mostly weeds now. So I need to at least get out there and do a little weeding. So it's a good day to do that, I think, Saturday, and it's a beautiful day. By the time I get down there, it might be in full sun, but that's all right. I'm not going to be out there all day. Today's card draw, I had to laugh. Spirit can have such a sense of humor. And when I'm working with my spiritual team, I do have to say that the sense of humor is certainly there. It certainly is. So if you recall, yesterday morning, we did the South Shield, right? And it was about innocence and the inner child. And I was telling you that, like, near the very, very end, that when I was putting the cards away yesterday, that another card came out of the deck, and it was the Coral card, right? And the Coral card is about nurturing. And I figured, okay, this is about nurturing our inner child, and it's just, a validation of what we're going to be talking about. But look who showed up again this morning, and it it came out so quickly, so quickly. It was like it was ready to be out again. I started shuffling, and I must have gone through the deck maybe 3 times, maybe 4, and it when it flew out of the deck, it flew face down, and when I turned it over, I had to smile. It's like, all right, I guess we get to cover Coral. Since I only just kind of briefly touched on it yesterday morning. Now, we've had Coral before, I think twice before, and in combination with the animal card, and I'll show you that one right away because I think it's going to make you go, huh? But it's a pretty powerful card. So Coral comes out first, and it's about nurturing, right? And then we get the second card, which is Crow. And Crow is about natural laws, or sacred laws, I should say, sacred laws. Some people would call them universal laws, sacred laws. And, it makes you wonder, what does sacred law have to do with Coral, about nurturing, right? Yeah, look at that artwork on the crow. Whoops, I forget the camera's separate. Goes a different direction there. There we go. The artwork on that. There we go. It's in focus now. Crow and Coral. My goodness. It's funny, too, that the last, I would say, probably 3, at least 3, client calls I've had working with clients, which, by the way, I just started again. I took a 1.5 years, almost 2 years hiatus, and people just started contacting me, and a lot at one time practically, and so it was couldn't miss the sign, right, that I need to get back in the saddle, so to speak. And so anyway, the last 3 have all dealt with nurturing and at least a couple of them, their trauma comes from their childhood. And so, and in fact, yesterday I actually had used some of the coral medicine that was needed for that particular client, having her take a drink of water, a glass of water, and really turn her attention to Grandmother Earth. And because water is grandmother's blood. And so when we take the water in, we're literally taking grandmother into our bodies, and so nourishing us, and also healing us, right? And so coral comes from the water. And the last time we had this card, I think it was it Chuck, maybe? I don't remember. Could have been Chuck. He put a comment into the chat, and it had to be about that the water is blue because it's a reflection of the sky, right? Water is blue, and our blood is actually blue. Yeah, our blood is blue. And what turns it red is oxygen. So when we get cut, and it hits the air, or air hits it, is when it turns red. And so, and coral is red, right? And it's like, wow. Now, a distant memory about our blood being blue, but for him to write it and make that comment, it really brought back that information and the memory of our blood turning red, right? When oxygen hits it. It's really, wow. Hey, good morning, Mary Anderson Fry. Good morning to you too. Hey, are you up at the cabin this weekend? I don't know. You're on the internet. I didn't know if you guys had internet there. Elisa's saying good morning. Mom okay today? Yeah, pretty good. She always has pain. Always. It doesn't go away. It's asking her if she's in pain. It's every day. The question is it tolerable? How much, intensity is there? And she seems to be doing pretty good this morning. She had kind of a rough night. That's why I went to bed late because I was working on the magazine, and she was having a little bit of a rough night. So it's a good thing I was still up. And so, but she seems to be pretty good this morning. She's saying maybe it's a storm, maybe it's raining, and that's why I feel so much pain. And I said, well, Mom, it's not raining, and there's no storms in our area anyway. And I said, I think it's just your body. So let's see if we can give it a hand here. And so we got the pain at least tolerable enough for her to sleep. And yeah. So I'm running on I'm lucky if it's 5 hours. There's a good thing about caffeine and maybe an afternoon nap if I can fit it in. So we got coral, and it's about nurturing, right? It's about nurturing. And the part of the nurturing that when I reread the information from Jamie Sams, and for those who maybe just are joining us and don't know what this is all about, this live stream, I get help from my spiritual team to get a card for the day of the energy that's most important for us to know about today. And we're using the Jamie Sams Sacred Path cards. And today's card is about the coral. And she says, and this is one of the things that jumped out at me. She says the protection is, let's see, talk a little bit about protection, is that the coral is many times paired with turquoise. It's paired with turquoise in jewelry. A lot of Native Americans in the Southwest who do the silver jewelry making many times will pair the coral with the turquoise. And the turquoise is a helper with protection. So the person who's wearing it or carrying it has protection, right? And what Jamie Sams pairs it up with the coral is about the nurturing. And she says that the protection is needed so that the nurturing can occur in a safe space. It's this reason that the turquoise and coral are worn together. The coral and the turquoise represent Father Sky, Grandfather Sky, and Grandmother Earth. Okay. And to me, when we do the unity breath meditation, is bringing the love that they have for us into our consciousness, right? And so when you wear, and I'm thinking when we wear those, it's like a physical, tangible way of feeling the love that they have for us. And I had to stop. I know I have a lot of turquoise jewelry because that's my birthstone. And I think the one turquoise and coral piece that I had of jewelry, I gave to somebody. So I may have to replace that. But what she's talking about, what jumped out at me was that healing to occur in a safe space, right? And what makes a space safe? That's a good question, because I think it's different for each one of us. What do we need? What do we feel we need to be in a safe space? I don't know if you've ever really asked yourself that question. What does it take for you to feel safe in a space? Yeah. Oh, shucks. Mary said, nope, they're not at the cabin. When I saw your name coming up, I thought, gee, does they have the internet at the cabin? Darn, huh? Rats is what I say. And Marcia Shaw's with us. Good morning, Marcia. I'm so glad you could join us this morning. I'm happy that you're all here. So when you ask yourself that question about being in a safe space and to define it for yourself, that's a part of your healing process, right? It's a part of all of our healing processes. There was one time when my mom first moved in with us, there was something that I shared with her that I didn't know if she'd ever been told this before. And, my mom has had a really varied life experience. And she had mothers kind of pass on their fears to their children, right? That's what they say. And I have to admit that some of that is true. And so one of the things that I know that happened is that my dad, when he would work away from home a lot just to have a job. And so she was alone a lot with just the kids, just us, me and my brothers. And so she had to kind of fend for herself in a lot of ways. She had to be very independent and to be able to get things done. And so needing the feeling to be needing to be safe. And one of the things that she still does today is to make sure all the doors are locked, even during the daytime. And at night, basically, it's, testing the window, although the windows never get opened in her room. I have to make sure the windows are locked just for her to feel safe. It's kind of almost a ritual before she can actually relax and to be able to go to sleep. And one of the things I said to her early on was that this is probably the safest place that you'll ever live in, that you have ever lived in. Yeah, safe place. And that nothing was going to hurt her here, not if I could help it, right? And so that was the first time she said that anybody had ever told her that she was safe. And that was 6 years ago. So she was 93. And when I was reading this piece, I was thinking about, I've got company. Hold on just a second. Oh, no, they're just dropping something off. That's weird. Talk about safe, huh? No, it looked like a mom and a child. They just put something on the door, so they might be doing a fundraiser. So anyway, and that made me think of that this morning. Is for us to be able to feel relaxed enough and open enough to do our healing work. That's what we're here to do, because that's a part of our soul contract, right? Is to be able to use our gifts and experience life and learn, and to have soul growth. And so in order to really access our gifts 100%, and to be able to connect with our spiritual team 100%, to be able to hear them, see them, sense them, is that we there's healing that has to be done. And so for healing to occur, you have to be in a safe place, safe space. So that was the first thing that jumped out at me this morning when I was rereading the information, is that feeling of being safe. And it's part of being nurtured. It's a part of being nurtured. When we're kids, when we're little, for many of us, there was an adult, parents, aunts, uncles, grandparents, that provided that safe space for us. So we felt safe. They were nurturing us, right? And there's some people who may not have had that experience, or at least not in a way that they felt safe, right? And so we start our path in experiencing the physical, emotional, and mental traumas, right? And and many of us don't turn our attention away from it. We ignore it. We act like we don't see it. It's not there. And then here we are in our 50s or 40s, and we're saying, I want to be done with this. I don't want the anxiety. I want to get past this piece, and I want to start really living my life the way I'm meant to live my life. And so we make that conscious effort, right? So that was the first piece that jumped out at me. And Jamie Sams writes that each two-legged, each human, has the need to be nurtured, and it's true. Those people who are very nurturing, naturally that way, we're drawn to them. We're drawn to them because we can feel that energy with them. And the one person that springs to my mind when I say that is Minnie Kansman. Minnie is a very nurturing soul. She's a triple cancer, and taking care of people is her gig. It really is, and learning the boundaries and the sacred space around all of that, to master that. I think that's why her tours, the tours that she has arranged and brought people together to go to different places around the world and to experience sacred sites and that sort of thing. I think that's why people are really drawn to going with her, because they know that they're going to be nurtured and as safe as possible, right? I think so. Of course, I am a little partial, just a mite partial about all of that, because she's one of my sisters and I've known her for many, many years. So, oh yeah, it's true. That's true, Mary. Are in our 60s. Yeah, it's very, very true. And but as soon as I get to the crow medicine, we've got some things to talk about with that. Let me finish up the coral, and then we'll jump over to the crow. Okay. She writes that using coral can allow us to reconnect to the blood in our bodies and to the waters of Mother Earth. As our feelings and intuition are connected to the water clan, we may once again feel the needs of our bodies as well as our spiritual needs. So the needs of the body, there we go again, right? Is that our body, our physical body, communicates with us all the time. The soul part of us and the physical part of us, right? And so when we feel something in our body, we're sensing energy all the time, and our body is reacting to it. That's one of the reasons why feng shui is so helpful, so very helpful. Is that when the energy in our home is balanced, and balanced and in harmony, right? Is that when we get home, we can literally relax because our bodies, I should say, aren't continually trying to balance the energy around us. And our physical body can relax. So when our physical body relaxes, that's when we can start feeling or sensing other information coming in. Spiritual information, energy coming in. So that we can get all that from coral, huh? Reconnecting to Grandmother Earth. She says that the spiritual aspects of understanding the body's need for air, food, water, physical activity are sacred. The gifts we are endowed with cannot be used properly unless we have a vehicle to accomplish those earth walk missions. The physical body is that vehicle. So when we're hydrated, right? When our physical body is safe, when we have good, whole, nutritious food, and we're making good choices, like not choosing a donut. Those are Sunday morning things. And making good choices for our physical body, because it's our vehicle here to have the physical experience here. And that's what we came here to do. That's what we came here to do, is to have that physical experience. Good morning, Stephanie. She says, my housemate says hi. Hello. He says her morning class is interesting. She's down to earth and humble. So she also passed my bowl. God, yay! Meter that's pretty hard to do. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm a triple Sag, so yeah. I don't honestly, I'd rather sit and have a really good conversation rather than talk about things that inconsequential stuff, So anyway, thank you for that, Stephanie's housemate. I appreciate it. And so those are the things that jumped out at me this time around for coral, because this is the card that came up yesterday morning. It was a card that came out of the deck when I was putting the cards away. I had already had the card for the South Shield, and I kept that card out, and I was putting the deck away, right? Putting it back into one of my favorite bags. This is one of the ones that my mom made for me. And I was putting it away, and this card, coral, came right out, slipped right out. And so I was thinking, okay, then this is a card that's supporting the information about the South Shield, which was about the inner child. And as I was reading through the coral information again this morning, I realized that it's about the nurturing. And when we nurture that aspect of us, that innocence that we still have, that we call the inner child, and we make sure that we're in a safe space to do our healing. That is the aspect that we're usually healing, is the inner child. So that part of us feels safe. That part of us feels nurtured and loved by us. And it's nice when other people do, but I think it's more important that we do that for ourselves. That it's internal, because when we feel that nurturing and we feel safe and we're doing our healing, we're working on feeling that peace within, right? And feeling that love within. And so that when our frequency starts to shift and get closer to our original frequency, the vibration that we came in with, our soul song, man, you get to use your gifts and experience your life through your gifts and creativity. And, some people call that a miracle, right? Yeah. Miracles happen all the time. All the time. Hey, Pamista. Pam is in the house. Good morning, Pam. So glad you're with us. Pam's from Alaska. It's very early in the morning for her. We used to do Skype calls, Pam and I, and sometimes for it to be a decent time in the daytime for her, that would mean I would like 10 o'clock at night for me. So I know that she's up probably having, I don't know if you do caffeine anymore, but maybe having your tea or coffee. All right. The application of the card, right? Jamie Sams writes that you're being asked to look at the idea of nurturing. It may be time to nurture yourself or another. Coral tells us that our bodies have needs too. Pay attention and be good to your body. Listen to all of our relations and not feel like you're the only one, right? A lot of times when we don't feel the nurturing, that we don't feel safe, a lot of times we're lonely too. It kind of goes hand in hand, that we feel like we're all alone, that we're experiencing all this by ourselves. And the truth is that we're never alone. We're never alone. There's some relative with us somewhere. Pam says, I'm climbing out of bed. I knew it. The other thing that kind of came to me after I was reading about the application of the card and all of that is a lot of this kind of reflects back to what's called soul maturity. That's what we're here to do, is to have soul growth, right? And so when and if we have another physical life after we leave this experience, it's a possibility that we become one of those old souls, if you're not one already, that has a lot of soul growth. And when they come in, it's like, I have to say, sometimes we're impatient with how life unfolds. we get impatient with things that I don't even know how to explain it. You lose patience. It's like, oh my God, not that again. And so that's the other, that with soul growth, we're still growing. So a lot of times we're working on being patient and being kind, and when we're in a physical body, right? But what I was thinking about the soul maturity is that we're nurturing the inner child, or that innocent part of us that gets covered up with layers of trauma and stuff that we have to clear. And for that part of us to feel safe. By healing the traumas, we get to use our gifts in a creative way and be able to connect with spirit so much easier, right? And that we also realize that we have to care for this physical vehicle that we're using to experience this life. That this is the body that we use to ground our experiences, our soul growth, to the earth plane. If we didn't have the physical bodies, we wouldn't be able to do that. We'd be in spirit. And so as we heal and as we grow, we change the frequency around us. And Grandmother Earth, Kokimiski Kan, that's her in Potawatomi. It means our Grandmother Earth. She supports us and she loves us in that, right? So, because we're all interconnected. How about the poem for Coral? Jamie Sams is a really good poet. I love her poetry. She says, she writes, "Red coral, please remind me of the blood of all my kin. Each of us feelings that reflect the joy within. May I nurture my own needs, then learn to share in turn the love that is my essence, the heart that in me burns." I like that. May I nurture my needs, then learn to share in turn. Walking the red road, the good red road. Now we're going to talk about crow. And I'm smiling about this because I kind of like the crow. This is, when I draw the medicine cards, I'll show the book cover here. This is Jamie Sam's other book, the other deck. It's called Medicine Cards. And these cards are all about our animal relatives that she wrote about for the cards. And when I draw this card, I'm asking my spiritual team, who among our animal relatives in these cards are able to help us understand with clarity and in a deeper way the essence of the coral card, is what I said. Okay. And so crow showed up for us. And on the surface, I'm thinking, crow, how is that going to help us understand coral and nurturing? But this is interesting. So I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this, what you guys think about this. Because the crow symbolizes law, L-A-W, law. And Jamie Sams writes that if you look deeply into crow's eye, you will have found the gateway to the supernatural. Crow knows the unknowable mysteries of creation and is the keeper of the sacred law. Crow can bend the laws of the physical universe and shapeshift. She says that fewer still people who actually know how to shapeshift, those holy people, medicine people. She says they're few, and fewer still have mastered the crow's art of shapeshifting. Now, this art of shapeshifting that she's talking about is that those that can still do this or know how to do this, come with it, is to be in two places at one time. It's called doubling. I haven't been able to do that. I wish. And that's actually consciously doing it, consciously, to be able to shift into two realities, whether it's within the same reality or here in another place, or here in a different dimensional place. Okay. Good morning, Lisa. Oh, Lisa, I would love to be able to draw a card for you, but the daily card draws here is really about one card that I ask about the energy for the day for all of us, and what that might mean for us for today. Okay. And so it's not individual cards, it's the information within that one card that may help you understand the energy flowing to you today. Does that make sense? Yeah. If you like to have an individual card, the shows that do that for Star Nations is Julie Hedges' show, which is coming up on Monday, the third Monday of the month, and that's Tarot Journey. And at the end of her show, she does draw tarot cards, a single tarot card for people. Polly Joe LeBay, she does that on her show on Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays, and she does that. If you need some time to do some healing, she does a meditation before that, a healing meditation, and then she does individual card draws. So one of those two shows, I'm sure, Lisa, that that you'll find that they can fill that need. Okay. All right. You're welcome. I'm so glad you joined us too, Lisa. Thank you for coming. I appreciate that. All right. So the crow, oh yeah, the doubling and taking on another physical form. So going from one physical form, a person form, to maybe an animal form. Okay. And literally becoming the fly on the wall to observe what's happening far away. So some people might call that remote viewing, right? Okay. So that's the crow medicine. That's what crow medicine can do. She says that all sacred texts are under the protection of the crow, those ancient records. And she gives a name for it. And I'm thinking this comes from the Seneca tradition. Seneca are a tribal nation indigenous to Turtle Island, United States, in the Northeast. They're part of the Iroquois Nation. That's how you might recognize that, Seneca. And that Iroquois Nation, they call themselves in their language Haudenosaunee. I think that's how it's pronounced. And so I believe that the crow information that she's writing about is coming from that background that she has, her roots. And so there's a word that she uses to describe to name the ancient records, and it's Oglala. No, Ogla. See, there I go. Ogala. She also mentions the wampum belt. That the women would take. Wampum are the purple shell, and the wampum belts, the way they were stitched together, made, would tell a story, but it also it was how valuable the information was, and many times the ancient laws, those sacred laws, were put into the wampum belt. Okay. What I should have done was brought my ring to show you guys. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. I have a wampum shell ring. And when I actually bought that for myself when I was a teenager. And my boss at the time, he said, never, ever, ever lose this, give it away, sell it, always keep it with you because it's priceless. And at the time, I didn't know what he was talking about until I learned about what wampum was. She says that the law which states that all things are born of women is one of the sacred laws, that all things are born of women. And when we think about women, the feminine qualities, right? And when I was pairing that up with the coral card, it's about the nurturing aspect of feminine energy. Mary is saying the town right next to Lynxville, Wisconsin is Seneca, Wisconsin. I didn't know that, which is actually the address of our cabin. Wow, I didn't know that about the Seneca name. That's interesting. Mary, there is just so many synchronicities going on with that, because didn't we have something? Well, we had the Lynx card, remember? And you said, oh, yeah. The cabin's in Lynxville. Ah. Synchronicities you can't ignore. So, here's something. She says, human law is not the same as sacred law. Crow sees that the physical world and even the spiritual world, as humanity interprets them, are an illusion. How the two-leggeds interpret the physical and spiritual laws is an illusion. Or worlds, I'm sorry, not laws, but worlds is an illusion. I think we knew that one. That there are billions of worlds and an infinite number of creatures. If an individual obeys Crow's perfect laws as given by the Creator, then at death he or she dies a good medicine death. A good medicine death, going on to the next incarnation with clear memory of his or her past. And so I think that goes back to our soul growth. That when we're able to do our healing, which happens in a safe place, that we're balancing out what people call karma, right? When we're doing our healing. And so when we leave this experience and go to the next, is that's what she means about a good medicine death, is that in the next lifetime we'll be able to come in with our memories intact, much like a lot of the children that are being born in the last 10 years or so, 5 years. Many of them are being born coming in with much of their memories intact of different lives. And if you sit down with them, they'll tell you about it. They're children, right? They're going to tell you about it. I had one child tell me they were growing backwards, that they were an adult once before, and now they're growing backwards. Another one was telling me about their life that they lived, where they lived in a stone house, and described the house to me and the different rooms. So they come in with intact memory. She says that Crow is an omen of change. Crow lives in the void and has no sense of time. That Crow sees simultaneously past, present, and future, so it's spherical. And the human measurement of time and space doesn't exist in Crow law. And she says that Crow merges light and darkness, seeing both inner and outer reality. Now that's way cool. If Crow medicine appears to you in the card spread, you must pause and reflect on how you see the laws of the Great Spirit in relation to human laws. The Crow medicine, with Crow medicine, you speak in a powerful voice when addressing issues that I'm sorry, I can't read that. Bifocals, it's called. With Crow medicine, you speak in a powerful voice when addressing issues that you seem out of harmony, out of balance, out of whack, or unjust. And so how many times have you come across something where and you know it, you can see it, you can feel it, that this isn't right. And so you say something. And according to what Jamie's writing about the Crow medicine, is that if you're carrying the Crow medicine and you speak it, you have a loud voice. That there's going to be people who turn around and agree with you, most likely disagree with you too, but your voice is heard, right? Yep. And Mary's saying, my life has been full of synchronicities during the last 8 months or so. I'm thinking since Jake, my horse, came into my life, not sure of the correlation. Well, I saw the pictures of you and Jake, and you know what? Talk about having an animal totem with you. It feels like a totem rather than a power animal. Which leads me to the question, Mary, is has something happened in your life that has changed, that you either made a decision or there was a life-shifting change, like finishing up an initiation? So a lot of times those happen like when we're adolescents. And for women, it would be our first period. For guys is when their voice changes, and we step into our adulthood, right? That is a significant change. Many times when we go through those significant changes, we will acquire another animal totem. Much like our birth totem that stays with us our entire life, this next totem will also stay with us our entire life. And so those two totems work together to assist you, right? So what has happened in your life in the last 8 months that was a shift, whether it was a decision that you made or a life changing? For you, I would think maybe, I'm not sure when you retired, or something like that, right around the same time that Jake came into your life. Yeah, think about that. Life changed. Jake showed up. All right. So Jamie says that as you learn to allow your personal integrity to be your guide, your sense of feeling alone will vanish. Let me say that again, because that was one of the sentences that jumped out at me. As you learn to allow your personal integrity to be your guide, your sense of feeling alone will vanish. Your personal will can then emerge so that you will stand in your own truth. Standing in your own truth. Yeah. Not an easy thing to do. But when you stand in it and you can feel the power that comes with it, that gives you the ability to sustain it, to be with it. Because when you stand in your truth, those people that disagree with you, I tell you what, they'll talk about you. They will, say things that are so untrue, trying to have you off balance, to step out of your integrity, to draw you into the drama of it. So if you stand in your truth, you're much stronger. It's very difficult for somebody to push you over, basically, energetically. Yep. So she says that the prime path of true Crow people says to be mindful of your opinions and actions. Be willing to walk your talk, speak your truth, know your life's mission, and balance past, present, and future so that you're living in the now. Shapeshift that old reality and become your future self, allowing the bending of the physical laws to aid you in creating the shape-shifted world of peace. That's what Crow's all about when you bring it together with the essence of the coral card about nurturing. Nurturing is that when we are healing and we're in that safe place, the more that we can feel our authentic selves, who we really came in here to be, it's so much easier to stand in your truth. Yeah. When those times when we're feeling like, oh man, who am I? What am I doing here? Because we've all gone through that, probably more than once. When we're feeling vulnerable. Yeah. It's harder to stand in our truth when we're feeling vulnerable. And so that's why I think it's really important that when you're doing your healing is that you do feel safe, that you have some place to go to, a sanctuary of sorts. Yeah. So Mary's saying, I am retired from my temporary part-time job 1 year ago. My official retirement was 2010. All right. So you had quite a bit of changes going on. Yeah. Both Mary and I used to work for the state of Wisconsin. So you took off the handcuffs, those golden handcuffs. I remember those. So that's a big change. No wonder. I think you answered your own question there, Mary. Um, about the crow medicine, she's also saying that if you're lying to yourself on any level, you have lost the power of the crow. Think about it, and maybe your inner truth will come to you. So, we talked about that when we're facing our shadow self, is to be honest with ourselves and to identify what the root of that shadow aspect is. Whether it is, if you're angry, what's really at the root of that anger? If you're fearful, what is the root of that fear? Is to be able to turn around and face it. It takes courage to do that. We pulled a card called Counting Coup, and that is facing an opponent. In the old days, the old ones, the ancient ones, they would ride as close as possible to the enemy without getting killed, right? And that's counting coup. That is a much larger act of bravery than to kill your opponent from a distance. Yeah. So in modern day, we're counting coup, and our opponent is our shadow self. And so when we can identify those aspects of our shadow self to heal them and to bring them into the light, to balance it out. So it's being honest with yourself. And when you're honest with yourself, according to Jamie Sams in this card, is that we are in crow medicine at that time. Because we're following the sacred laws. Sounds good to me. There's one other piece that kind of jumped out at me here. She says, refusing to honor the shifts in your reality can cause emotional pain. An implosion of energy is apparent when rebellion surfaces. So when crow is in the contrary, when the medicine of crow is out of balance, okay, is that's when we're rebellious, and that we're breaking the sacred law, or laws, I should say. The law of expansion is broken by suppression. All right, so the law of expansion is broken by suppression. So when we suppress our anger, when we suppress our fear, when we suppress, we're going in the opposite direction of expansion. And the universe is always expanding. Energy is always moving, always changing. And so when we suppress it and we stop that flow, we stop the flow of expansion. So we're going against sacred law. Yeah. So that is the in combination with the coral card, the essence of the card, and what it means for us today is about nurturing ourselves, identifying what our safe space is, defining it for ourselves so that we can do our healing, so that we're flowing with the sacred law rather than going against it. Does any of that make sense? That's a lot. That crow medicine is big stuff, man. Hey, Aaron's in the house. Good morning, Aaron. Second cup of coffee by now, I would imagine. I'm still working on my first cup of tea. So the crow medicine, it's about the laws. And you got to admit, I mean, if you get some time, if you have time, is to look up Medicine of the Crow, and you can read through it. It's pretty good stuff. I mean, can you imagine in the old days, the ancient ones, and how they would be able to shapeshift? And actually, shamanic journey is being in two places at one time. That your physical body is in this plane of existence, and your spirit self, your soul, is traveled to another another dimension, and having an experience there. Yeah. So, all right. With that, please just notice how the energy is flowing to you today, flowing to you, with you, around you, and to be able to see how the information from the coral and from the crow can be come to you and assist you, to be good to you, right? And remember, whatever we talked about today, shared today, just whatever resonated with you, what felt good to you, that's the part you take. Anything that you said, what the heck is she talking about? That's the part you can just let go. Wasn't meant for you, probably for somebody else. And like I say, maybe it was just a planting of a seed. Who knows? And just see how your day unfolds, and notice it. Notice if you're a participant, a direct participant in that flow of information about coral and how it's unfolding, or are you a witness to it? Because both are good. Both we can learn from, right? All right. With that, enjoy the rest of your Saturday. I'll see you back here tomorrow morning with tomorrow's card draw. And, we'll see you later. That's Bama Mina in Potawatomi. Until we see each other again.